All right, cooking some Mountain House on the Coleman stove. If you tuned into an earlier video, you probably saw me giving a review of a Coleman 425 camping stove. And I did an unboxing of this stove, and I didn't fire it up at all because, again, it was new to me. I hadn't used one in years, but I thought now would be a good time to use the stove for this demonstration of cooking a mountain house. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Here we go. Lasagna with meat sauce. So here in my neighborhood, we get, well, we haven't had one in a while, but we get the occasional power outage, and sometimes they can last for quite a long time. So over the years, we've kind of gotten used to this, but at the same time have kind of organized and gotten a little bit more prepared for when that happens. So we have battery generators, gas generator. If ever we should get a blackout, that should last a really long time. So one thing I kind of figured out through the last few power outages that when heating up food, like any kind of non-perishable food or long-lasting food like this during a blackout, that using the generators to actually heat things takes a lot of electricity. It's actually, I think, far more efficient to burn kerosene fuel in a stove just to get that amount of heat. So today I'm going to be kind of recreating that situation, cooking a Mountain House lasagna with Coleman stove. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is fire up the stove. I haven't done this in a long time. When I was younger, I was in the Boy Scouts, so I used to be able to light one of these without even thinking, but now I actually have to read the instructions again. And actually, one thing that's worth mentioning is different from the last first Coleman video I made is I actually put a oven liner at the bottom. And as you can see, this helps keep the stove clean, because if you're making something greasy like bacon and eggs, you get a lot of splatter and a lot of burnt stuff at the bottom. This really prevents anything from sticking and makes cleaning much easier. So I think this is really going to help keep the stove clean, and you don't have to wash it. You just change the oven liner when it gets too filthy to use. All right, so let me just review a little bit here. Filling instructions. I already have fuel in the tank. I'm going to just check the tank cap, make sure it's on tight. It is. Let's see. Close valve firmly. That is closed. Okay, so this is the fun part, is pumping one of these things. And if you're pumping it with cold fingers, it is not fun. Let's see. 30 full strokes. Okay, I think I did 5 strokes there. So my original pumping count has to be 30. So I got 25 to go. 29, 30, and 31, just in case. All right. This is the weirdest little switch here. I have to turn the lighting lever up. Yeah, I remember that. Very insignificant looking lever, but I guess important nonetheless. So I got my trusty Redbird matches here. They light anywhere, and it is very true. So I'm going to open up the fuel valve here and get, well, actually first I should light the match. Okay, maybe that one did not light anywhere, especially the box. Maybe they're old. Let's try on the other side. Ah, finally. That was unusual, especially for a Redbird match. Okay, we have ignition here. Oh, it went out. Try that again. But apparently this fuel's supposed to last a long time. There we go. All right, so I have to let that burn for a minute and then turn the lighting lever down. Reading here, oh yeah, 2 full turns fuel valve. So this actually really has to be open quite a bit from what I remember, yeah. It takes a while for the flame to glow blue. It's usually orange for a little while, and then it kind of burns down and gets to a nice smooth blue flame. really defined flame, actually. You can really see all the little micro flames, I don't know what you'd call them, in the burner, but that's burning really nice. Wow, look at that. I'm gonna let it burn for another 30 seconds. And then I'm gonna put the lighting lever down. As you can see in the background here, I have a fire extinguisher, which is always a good idea. Can't really see it in the picture, but I always have one close by just in case. Okay, I think that's enough. Turn it down, pump additional air into tank and adjust the flame to desired heat. So I think the last thing I do is, let's see, wait 1 minute. Okay, so after I put the lighting lever down, I give it additional pumps. Okay, now I'm turning the heat down a little bit. That seems about right. Yeah, look at that smooth flame. This is fantastic. Now I can actually open up the other burner here and light it separately, but I found that this burner here isn't as strong as this one. It really is actually good for kind of warming up soups or baked beans on the side. This is more of the powerful burner here if you're going to really fry something on high heat. But this burner here, the second one, is really good for keeping food warm or reheating something, heating up, like, as I said before, a can of delicious baked beans, which always taste better when you're camping. Awesome, so I'm ready to start cooking. Now, one thing about Mountain House, and they actually say in the packaging, is that you can pour hot water right into the bag and eat the food out of the bag. I think these are Mylar bags, so that's totally possible. I'm pretty sure that they have no plastic components, so they're probably not toxic. But if you're camping, that's a really great idea, because then you don't have to bring a pot or anything. You just save your garbage and pack it in your bag, and you don't have to worry about washing anything on site or disposing anything. So, but just for the sake of demonstration and seeing the food cook, I'm going to go use a pot, because I am at home and in a blackout situation, I'm not really going to be worrying about washing dishes. So I'm going to put back the rack. Let's see here. Again, I don't remember. Oh, yeah, here we go. It goes right on the top here. Oh, that flame is hot. That is very hot. All right, so I got my pot here, normal size pot. Very good for Coleman stove. And I'm going to open up my Mountain House lasagna. Now, these old bags have 136 grams. I think the new bags, this could be shrinkflation, have maybe 111, 112 or something like that, 113. It's a little bit less. I don't know if it differs based on the type of food you're having. Maybe it does. But this lasagna, meat lasagna here, is 136 grams. And this is the old packaging, which has the happy group of friends here camping and enjoying a Mountain House meal, which probably tastes 20 times better when you're camping than it does cooking it in your own garage. All right, so how do you open this thing? Here we go. They have a little pre-ripped portion here, so you can open it really easy. There we go. Yeah, look at this. It's actually resealable. There's you can see there's a little Ziploc, I don't know if that's trademark Ziploc, seal in here, so you can actually reseal it. Now, the most important thing, I think, is taking out the oxygen absorber here, and they do mention that in the instructions. Remove the oxygen absorber before you pour in any hot water. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. And because I'm not using the bag to cook in, I'm going to pour everything right in the pot. Wow, look at that. That is great. Now, I would never be able to estimate what 136 grams would be, but just at first glance, this actually looks like a really good amount of food. It's freeze-dried, so it's definitely going to plump up a lot. I hope I brought a big enough pot, because I don't want this plumping up more than the size of the actual pot. And there's a bee flying around me trying to get at this too. So if I run away from the camera screaming, you'll know that there's a bee or a wasp about to sting me. So they might like lasagna. So here we go. I got my 1 cup measuring cup. So I'm going to put in 2 cups of water, as the instructions say. So here we go. Here's 1 cup. Of course, if I were camping, I would probably just guess this amount. But because I'm at home and spoiled with all my cooking tools, I'm doing this properly with a measuring cup. Let's go 1 and 2, and I'm going to run inside and grab a spoon because that's the one thing I did forget. All right, I'm back with my big spoon. I'm going to stir this up before I put it on the heat. There we go. Now you can see I'm actually using this stove with the garage door open. The instructions do say use the stove in a well-ventilated area. I've actually seen a few movies where people have been using this Coleman stove indoors, and I'm not sure if that would be a fatal mistake or not. I've never wanted to try it. I know in the previous video I gave a pretty dire warning if you were to use this in an enclosed space, and I got a comment stating that that probably wouldn't happen or wouldn't necessarily happen. I'm not sure what would be the case of that, how much carbon monoxide this thing would give off. However, I'm just playing it safe and using this right at the door to the garage, just so there's no risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Maybe if I were using a propane stove, I'd feel a little bit better, but this is some smelly kerosene, and I have a feeling that this probably gives off a lot more carbon monoxide. And that's based on no research at all. But again, if you don't know, just play it safe, which is exactly what I'm doing. Stir that up. Okay, it's not hot yet, so it's not really plumping at all. But this is a really hot stove, and I'm not going to really bring the heat up any more than it is. I realize now that I was actually letting the stove just run and burn while I was doing all the preparation work. If I were really trying to conserve fuel, then I would probably mix this first and then light it. But for the sake of the video, I kept this thing lit, so I wouldn't have to waste time doing that again. Let's go see if maybe I should make this a little hotter. Oh, wow. Okay, maybe that's where I want to be for the heat. That is excellent. And give it a few more pumps. That's about 10 more pumps there. Yeah, look at that flame. The thing is really going. So it actually smells really good. I mean, the sauce quantity on this is very substantial. I'll bring my camera right up to the pot so you can see. Yeah, that looks really good. So if I were camping deep in the woods and I had something like this to eat, it would taste like a gourmet meal. It even smells like Parmesan, actually. Maybe they put a little Parmesan cheese in that. Let me see the ingredients. Let's see here. What do we got? Ingredients, tomatoes. There you go, tomato juice. Sorry for the glare. Egg whites, onions, cornstarch, spices, garlic powder. I probably smell the garlic powder. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, but again, freeze-dried food. So this has a pretty long shelf life. If I look at the back, you can see expires, or best by, April 2049. That's incredible. These actually make a fantastic gift because you're giving the gift of food, but that lasts so long. So it's kind of a novel idea that you can give food that'll last, for the next 30 plus years. Most people aren't really expecting that, but we've actually given these as gifts before to people, and they've had a pretty good laugh about the expiration date. There we go. All right, so it didn't plump up that much, and actually this is getting already pretty warm. So if I were to repeat this in the future, yeah, I would probably use the same size pot. But there's a lot of sauce here. Actually, with this lasagna, if you had extra noodles, you could actually add to it because you really do get a lot of sauce. I think quite a large portion of what they give you here is sauce. So you could actually make this go a little further if you wanted to, because the sauce is really the tasty part, right? And pasta is pretty light. So, of course, that would require quite a bit more cooking energy to boil water and then boil more pasta, say if you were camping or if you were trying to conserve fuel. So probably best situation is to eat it as is, or if you have something left over from the day before, something like rice, just mix it with that, or bread for dipping in. But this is, I'd say this is a really good amount of food. This could feed, I'd say this would feed 2 adults pretty comfortably if you had a little extra something like bread to eat on the side. Very good meal soon after a hard day's work. Oh, look at that. You know what? There is cheese in that. Either the noodles are melting or that is cheese on there. Look at that stringy cheese. Let me read the ingredients again. I probably missed it. Aha, cheese blend. Dehydrated Parmesan Romano cheese. That's exactly it. So on the front it says lasagna with meat sauce, but it says absolutely nothing about there being cheese in it. It's only when you turn the packaging over that you see there is indeed a cheese blend component. So that's actually fantastic. Because there's cheese in here, you really do get a lot more food or nutrition than you would have otherwise thought. Yeah, that makes it much more worthwhile to have cheese in here. And one thing I'm noticing now as I'm stirring it is that the cheese is kind of sticking to the bottom a bit. So you really do want to stir this pretty frequently. But it is lasagna. Lasagna is supposed to have cheese. If it didn't, then I guess technically it would not be lasagna, right? It's just very saucy lasagna without the stacked pasta. This is more similar to like Michelina's lasagna, where it's all kind of chopped up in one sort of mushy serving. Let's see. I just turned the stove off. I'm just wondering if there's anything else I have to do. No, I think that's it. I think it's pretty much safe the way it is. And that is one hot and steamy mountain house. So thank you all for tuning in if you stayed with me this long. This is a video of the lasagna with meat sauce by Mountain House, which is freeze-dried food. And again, I had the option of cooking it in the Mountain House bag, but because I'm in the comfort of my own home, well, I used a pot to cook it in just so you could see what it looks like. And next step is to actually eat this and see what it tastes like. Okay, time for the taste test. I have to get into character here. Okay, so there's a huge power outage. It's been going on for weeks. All the food in the fridge has gone bad, and all I've got is Mountain House. So I'm just gearing my taste buds to that. Or it could be less dire. It could just be camping, and I brought some Mountain House with me. And I'm really hungry after a day of hiking, and this is what I'm going to eat. Get some of that cheese at the bottom. Ooh, that is hot. Oh, wow. So that was a lot to heat up. I'm actually really glad I used the gas stove for this, because if I had used the battery generator, I think that would have used a lot of juice out of the battery. So this is a pretty efficient way of cooking something to a high temperature. And you can see here, I don't know if I can getting all this in the camera. Yeah, so we have small noodles, lasagna style, and small portions of meat. It's like little meatballs, like what you get like on a Delicio pizza. Oh, there's a wasp trying to get at the food. Again, I'm gonna have to run out of here at any moment. And very saucy, but actually the sauce kind of condensed a little bit. It thickened up, so maybe I wouldn't add more noodles to this later on. The real test would be just to see what this tastes like 30 years after buying it, but I imagine it would taste pretty similar. But that would be a great video if I can remember to do that in 30 years, if I'm able to do that. All right, time for the taste test. Blow it off a little bit. Very hot. Wow. Okay. Have another one. It's definitely not too sour. Also, one thing I'm always afraid of with any tomato sauce-based product is that it can be kind of tart and sour. This is a little sweeter. It's actually quite nice. Yeah, the taste on, say, entry to the mouth, or to the initial taste buds, is very good. Kind of disappears a little bit afterward. You do taste the meat, though. This is lasagna with meat sauce, and as we found out later, cheese. Tastes very similar, I would say, to like a Michelina's frozen meal. I think it would actually even taste better because it's not frozen. It hasn't been in the freeze for a long time. Sometimes with frozen meals, you get kind of that freezer burn aftertaste. This does not have it. It's actually really quite excellent. I'm getting used to it. It's actually very good. I'd say probably after the fourth bite, either my mind is filling in what it should taste like, or I'm just becoming more sensitive to freeze-dried food taste. But it's really enjoyable. In any situation, camping or power outage meal, any kind of emergency meal, this is really good. And again, a little bit of bread to go with it would stretch it out a little bit more. But my wife took some before I came back out here. I already had a nice helping of it. You can see there's a lot left to go around. So if some hungry campers came around needing some food, I could probably spare a little bit. It's really good. Now a little bit more.